Rubbish to bring
In Manila, I'm going to bring short shorts.
Oh no, I hope not.
As in this short shorts. I will
So you can begin submitting your questions when the dialogue begins.
これから2日目のサミットダイアローグが始まります。これが各国の代表団の生徒たちですね。右と左の座席にはこれからホアチョンの生徒たちが着席することになります。まだあまり来てないですね。
Welcome to the second summit dialogue of the 2014 Hwa Chong Asia Pacific Young Leaders Summit. I'm Pei Xuan and I'll be your MC for today. This morning, we are honored to have with us Mr. Neo Kian Hong. Mr. Neo Kian Hong was appointed Permanent Secretary, Education Development in the Ministry of Education and appointed to the Administrative Service on 1st July 2013. May we now invite Mr. Neo to commence the summit dialogue. Mr. Neo, please.
Morning, Dr. Hon, students from Hwa Chong Institution and from the Asia Pacific Young Leaders Summit. I'm very pleased to join you this morning. And for our foreign friends, we welcome you to Singapore. We have a very small place here. There are still things to do and see. And there's also some cultural aspects which are maybe interesting to you. That's the good news, and that's their secret of their success, you know, how Israel has been able to come up with many ideas. But the bad news is that when you have so many people having their own ideas, it's quite ungovernable. So you have to choose what you want. And I think we want both, you know. We want to be creative, and we want to make sure that our people can hang on together. And that's the reason why values is very important. And if we are able to balance this requirement, having creative people, but yet they are able to come together and they are well anchored, we should be able to move forward quite well. So this is just the first part on our education system, the evolution. And we aim to ensure that every child is able to learn English and the mother tongue to the best of their abilities. And English for a very simple reason, that we are able to work and compete in a globalized world. This is an international language. And being proficient in the mother tongue allows us to remain connected to respective heritage and Asian cultural roots.
Good morning, I'm Riko Yoshi from Japan. And in the slide, you said that there are too much pressure on students because of the streaming and also the exams to be divided into some courses. And I think that, I think in Japan we also have the same situation, and I think that it is responsible for the entrance exam system into universities. So I want to suggest that if we take the system like US or UK, that the universities take a look at your activities outside of school, not only grades. So what do you think about it? And if you have some solutions to this problem, could you tell us?
Thank you for the question. First of all, First of all, I must say that we do not only teach academics. In fact, one of the features of our system is that we require our students to do co-curricular activities as well. So we have the academic subjects and then the non-academic subjects like physical education, the music, art, and so on and so forth. So these are required. All students are required to do them. There's time set aside for them. So that's what we mean by a holistic education. So we want to continue to do that.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm from Harrow School in the UK. Mr. Carlson said that, as I said, you get a false sense of certainty from education rather than any kind of kind of enhance creativity as such. So the more educated you are, the more certain you are, whereas the less educated you are, the more uncertain you are. Therefore, you can be more creative if you're more uncertain, whereas if you're more educated, you're more certain, if that makes sense. So, what's your take on that view?
Thank you. Mr. Kausikan has always very good ways of putting things. For instance, people to think very, very hard.
One thing that we discussed last night, or at least in one of our discussion groups, was the importance of a worldwide education, the importance to be able to access information and to actively engage in accessing information. And we came across with the idea collectively that it would be better if we all had like a class to motivate students to learn about other problems, to read information, to learn how to safely use the internet, which would better curb worldwide problems we all thought presently. So my question is a three-part, I guess. Do you agree that there should be a worldwide class that's devoted to teaching children about worldwide problems, how people should work together and access information? Secondly, does Singapore already emphasize this type of classroom environment? And lastly, how should we best apply this in our own countries when we get back home? Thank you.
In 2009, a similar thing happened, and it's called the financial crisis. Many of us will know because it's much nearer, 2009. Most people will know the financial crisis, how it has affected so many countries and even Europe, for example, how badly it was hit. And in Singapore, interestingly, we went over it almost, the most we felt was a little bump. And what happened? The leaders told its people that please take pay cuts, 20%. Everybody take pay cut across the country. And then it told the employers, please don't fire anybody, keep them in their jobs. And because they took pay cuts, the companies are able to survive, and with some aid, they're able to survive. So we went through the difficult period without much drama and trauma.
I would like to ask a question. So nowadays, students are really grade-oriented. They are willing to do anything to get good marks. For example, they cheat or they even cooperate with other students and share their answers. In Indonesia, the Minister of Education has tried to minimize this problem by making 20 packages of national examination with barcodes. But students still find a way to do it. And children with high national exam marks get to good universities, but smart, hardworking, and honest student who doesn't cheat get lower marks so that they can apply to a good university. So my question is, do you have any suggestion to change the mindset of students that grades are not everything? And do you have any suggestion to reduce cheating in my countries? And do you have any suggestion for Indonesia's education as a whole? Thank you.
And at one stage, it was so harsh, the regime, that we went up to the leaders and asked them, does it make sense that I spend $100 to make sure that this 10 cents is accounted for? For most people, they say, just write it off. I mean, in the business world, they say, write it off, it's 10 cents. Why do you want to spend $100 to account for that 10 cents? And the answer from the senior leaders is that it's not the 10 cents, it's the culture. We must make sure that everybody understands that if you take something that doesn't belong to you and you're corrupt, you're not only threatening your system, you're threatening the future of your entire nation and your people.